Hi, hello, and welcome back, everybody, to Wolf Tales. Last time, Furyu and Miyari just left. So, let us continue. For the next hour or so, I found myself wandering around the cabin aimlessly. Already having slept and eaten, there's honestly very little remaining that I need to do. I have enough supplies to last for a while, yet it's too cold outside to think about working, and my hobbies are all the type to be enjoyed while resting idly. Put simply, I'm bored. Solitude may be its own reward, but the cost at which it comes is clear. There's nothing to do out here during the colder months, and even when things warm up, the choices can't compare to those available in the city. At least with those two wolf girls around, things were a bit more lively. Other people are a nuisance, but a pet could be just what I need. That being said, what kind of pet would be suitable out in the middle of nowhere like this? Giving myself something to think about, I decided to turn on the radio in the kitchen. After adjusting the frequency and waiting for a short while, I am able to receive the weather forecast, which paints a rather placid picture. Maybe I should go out and get some water while it's still mild outside. The weather can change out here at the drop of a hat, so it never hurts to have a surplus. I grab my coat and head for the door, resolving myself to be slightly more active than usual. Before this pleasant weather changes for the worst, I'm going to shore up my supplies just as any prudent survivor would. Looks like it's starting to set in pretty hard. Oh, sorry. Who the hell thought it would be a good idea to fetch water? I say to myself. Everything has turned to sludge out there. The entire landscape has changed since before the snowstorm. I hurriedly close the door behind me as I return from gathering water. Unfortunately, my trip proves fairly fruitless as the spring from which I usually gather drinking water has been temporarily blocked off. The snowstorm has shifted the terrain, making my usual routes either inaccessible or far more dangerous than usual. Screw it, I say. I'll just stay inside after all. It may be boring to stay indoors all day, but at least it's safe. Still shivering slightly, I regretfully remove my coat and flop down on the couch. Covering myself with the blanket, the same one I used to cover up the two sleeping wolf girls yesterday, I settle myself in and try to make myself comfortable. Let's see now, where did I put the remote? If it isn't within arm's reach, I'm not getting up to look for it, I say. I look around the immediate vicinity of the couch. Unfortunately, the remote is nowhere to be seen. It's probably still in the kitchen from when I last watched TV while cooking. I guess I'll just have to sit here then. What a fun person I am. As I sit in silence, I notice a faint sound. It sounds like a voice, but it's too quiet for me to understand what they are saying. Oh great, now I'm hearing things. Maybe I've lived out here for too long after all. I try to ignore the voice by focusing my mind somewhere else. However, the voice doesn't disappear. It seems to cut in and out with ample static cropping up in between words. What the heck could that... Oh, right, the radio, I say. I unintentionally rise to my feet and turn towards the kitchen where I left the radio turned on. Seeing as how it's battery powered, I figured it'd be better if I turn it off while I'm not using it. Before I can do so, I hear something ominous from the other end of the radio. Bad weather incoming, says the radio. Avalanche last night. Paths have changed. Advising caution. Phew. It was worse than I thought it was, huh? I say to myself. Now I'm definitely not going outside. I turn off the radio and grab the TV remote, which is sitting on the kitchen counter. I then return to the living room and sit down on the couch, remote in hand. Okay, now where were we? Yes, let's find something to watch, shall we? Now, what did I start watching last time? Before I can turn on the television, I go to wrap myself in the blanket I used to cover myself just moments ago. The second I do so, however, I can feel a chill run down my spine. Oh shit. The girls, I say. They wouldn't know about the avalanche last night or the bad weather that's about to hit. If they get caught up in that, and they find that their path back home has been blocked off, those pearl girls might be... I'm gonna go find them girls, boys. Ah, hell. How can I sit back and relax knowing that those girls might be in danger, I ask. I can watch TV at any time. For now, I've got a couple of wolf girls to track down. Covered in several layers, I head out into the frozen wasteland before me in search of the two wolf girls. Upon starting my drive, I quickly realize that the cold is the least of my worries. As I noticed earlier, and the radio confirmed, all the usual scenery has changed since I last ventured outside. Familiar landmarks are gone, paths have been blocked off, and solid ground has been replaced by sleet. If I'm not careful, I might wind up getting lost or stuck myself. Okay now, where would those two girls have gone? I'd never been to the other side of the mountain, but if memory serves, I follow a vague recollection I have of the map I purchased when I first moved out here. The actual pathway has obviously changed since then, but my memory gives me at least a hint of the direction in which I should be heading. Now then, if I remember correctly, it should be this road here. Or at least it was, back when there was a road. I come to a stop as the road I'm following appears to end abruptly. A few hundred feet in front of me, where there would generally be a road there, there is a huge pile of snow. From my point of view, it is impossible to bypass. Oh man, I guess the road is blocked after all. Maybe there's a path or something that I just can't see from here. If I move a bit closer... I force myself to get out of the truck, shivering as the blizzard rages. My legs may be weary, but my stomach is full and my body is warm. If those girls are out here, I'm going to find them. Mirari, Furyu, I shout. Are you two out here? Mirari, Furyu. I call out the girls' names as I head closer to the obstructed pathway. As I near the wall of snow, a vague figure appears up ahead. Squinting, I try to discern the identity of the being in front of me. Mirari? Furyu? I ask. Fuckboy King, Furyu asks. Furyu, I say excitedly. Hearing Furyu's surprise exclamation, I rush over to the figure up ahead. Once I get closer, I realize that it's not just Furyu. Mirari's with her too. However, Fuckboy King, please help me, Furyu says. Mirari suddenly collapsed while we were walking, so I carried her myself. But the path is... I know, most of the paths have changed or been blocked off, I say to her. You won't be able to get through here, not today. Huh? Says Furyu. But then what do we do? Mirari's unconscious. She needs somewhere warm to rest and something to eat. And, Furyu says, calm down, Furyu. If you panic, you're just going to make things even harder on yourself. For the time being, you're both coming back to my cabin, I say. I'll help you carry Mirari back there, and we'll make sure to keep her nice and warm. No, but we couldn't possibly, Furyu says. I wasn't asking, I say to Furyu. You take one arm, and I'll take the other, got it? Yes, I understand, says Furyu. If it's for the princess, then... Furyu comes to her senses and grabs hold of Mirari tightly. I do the same, grabbing Mirari's other arm and wrapping her around my shoulder. Like so, Furyu and I begin to carry the unconscious princess back to my truck, braving the hellish blizzard once more. Through great exertion, and with much difficulty, I managed to bring Mirari and Furyu back to my cabin safe and sound. While the two girls aren't injured, it seems that they are both utterly exhausted, with Mirari still unconscious and likely running a fever. Furyu is sick with worry and clearly overexerting herself, but otherwise appears to be fine. How is Mirari doing, I ask. Any change? In response to my question, Furyu shakes her head. Still nothing, she says. The princess won't wake up at all. Ah, that's too bad, I say. Oh well, just give her time and she'll be okay, I say. I hope so, Furyu responds. Furyu sulks as she shrugs off my optimism. It seems that her concern for her friend is not so easily dismissed. You know, Mirari was in far worse shape when I found her, I say. As long as she's kept warm and given a chance to rest, I think she'll definitely pull through. For the time being, I say, positioning myself directly behind Furyu, I place one hand on the girl's head. I'm more worried about you, Furyu. Me? She asked me. Why would you be worried about me? Is that really so strange? I ask her. You were out there in the blizzard too, you know. You even wound up carrying Mirari all by yourself before I got there. Not to mention the panic and stress you would have been suffering from. So, how are you holding up? I ask her. Do you need anything, Furyu? Is there something I can do for you? Don't be absurd, Furyu says. Your concern is entirely unnecessary, human. Furyu pouts and turns away with a red tinge to her cheeks. You should focus your attention on Mirari instead, Furyu says. She's the important one here, not me. I would have gladly given my life if it meant bringing her back home, safe and sound, Furyu says. I begin to rub Furyu's head while chuckling to myself. So what you're saying is you're so concerned for your friend's happiness that you'd give up your own life for her to achieve it? That isn't what I said, responds Furyu. I just don't want the pack to suffer because of that girl's selfish whims, that's all. Yes, I understand, I say to her. I continue to pet Furyu as she sulks. Despite her usual temperament, she doesn't push my hand away, nor does she appear to dislike the contact. If she weren't so proud, then she might actually give in to the feeling and lean in closer. But you know, Furyu, as great as it is to be loyal, you shouldn't put so little importance on your own life, I say to her. Just as your pack misses Mirari, I'm sure they miss you too. And I know for a fact that if you were gone, Mirari would be devastated. Just as your pack misses Mirari. Oh, whoops. So, don't you throw your life away, okay? Take care of yourself, just as you take care of Mirari. Alright, everybody, I'm going to call it here for this episode. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time when we continue our Wolf Tales adventure.